thank you for joining me for this discussion of story points versus hours. As a Scrum Master, you may find yourself faced with what I call a paradoxical question. If a point simply represents a number of hours, then why don't we just estimate in hours? There's a compromise within that question that makes it impossible to answer correctly at face value. The response to the question, if taken literally, would be that story points just add an unnecessary translation layer. We should stop using story points and just use hours to estimate our stories. But there's a problem. The premise to the question is invalid. It reveals a misunderstanding of when, why, and how to use story points. A story point can be defined as a measure of the relative size of a product backlog item that takes into account factors such as complexity and physical size. A story point is fundamentally different than a time unit such as hours. It is a relative unit of estimation as opposed to an absolute measure. It measures the output of a team, reflecting value delivery, as opposed to measuring input, representing resources spent. Story point values are Fibonacci numbers, which become less specific estimates as they increase in size. In addition to physical size of the effort, story points also account for risk, complexity, and uncertainty. Now that we have a basic understanding of story points, the next question that is likely to surface is, if points don't directly equate to hours, then how can cost and schedule be determined? The answer is velocity. Velocity provides a consistent measure of team output each sprint, which translates to how much of the product backlog can be delivered within a sprint time box. Velocity is a measure of the rate at which work is completed per unit time. Since sprints are time boxed to a fixed number of days in Scrum, velocity can be measured as the number of points completed each sprint. Scrum teams collect metrics to track their velocity each sprint. Historical velocity is used at sprint planning to determine how much work should be planned for the sprint. All items in the backlog are pointed, and these estimates are refined as the backlog is managed over time. Applying velocity metrics to the pointed backlog allows for schedule predictions, which facilitates release planning and longer-term planning. Velocity also enables the team to measure their performance over time, which can be used as a metric for continuous improvement.